and welcome to Bodyholic with D, episode number 15. My name is D. Shahar, and I am a public health promoter. I've attained my MPH from Tel Aviv University on the research track, and I'm a fitness trainer with over 17 years of experience and specializations in corrective exercise, women's fitness, and Pilates. I am also the founder and trainer of Bodyholic, the global health and fitness platform and community, and I'm the author of the book, Rip It Up for Good. This podcast is a part of my effort and mission as a public health professional because I believe that real science-based information and knowledge is power. And my job in this life is to empower you. I want you to have high and sustained energy throughout the day, and I want you to feel better than you have ever felt before, during and after your workouts, in and out of your clothes, and not only physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. Today's guest is a clinical dietitian and microbiome scientist. Ayelet Gur Arie, as you will see and hear in a few minutes, is on a mission to increase awareness so we can make our gut microbiome high quality to better our health. She lectures all over the world and is super passionate about it, which is why I loved every minute of the conversation. Aside from the topic being super interesting, seriously, so fascinating. So kick back and enjoy the conversation, as I'm sure you will.
Ayelet Gur Arie, I am so happy to have you here with me. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here.
It is quite a pleasure. We are going to dive right in so we can get the most out of your expertise. And maybe you can start us off a little bit and kind of place us in your world with a little bit of a brief background and explanation about what actually the microbiome is.
Sure. Well, the microbiome is actually a collection of microorganisms who live in and on our body. It's actually a symbiotic relationship because we give them a place to live and thrive, and they help us in so many ways we're going to talk about today. We have a microbiome in everywhere our body meets the outside world. So it's in the mouth, we have a microbiome of our skin, lungs, the woman genitals, and the biggest and most important one, the one we're going to talk about today, is the gut microbiome. And the word microbiome is actually referring to the genetic content of these microorganisms, and is now known that only the gut microbiome, only this kind of microbiome holds more bacteria DNA than human DNA in all of our bodies. So it's not wrong to say, and it's kind of a philosophical thing to think that we are actually more bacteria than human, because like with the numbers, it is true.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. And the gut microbiome is a whole ecosystem. It's an ecosystem that we have inside ourselves, and is now being known as a new organ. It is not just like, something we discovered and we're checking out. It is so affecting our whole health that it is now being called a new organ. Just like the heart and the liver, our microbiome is the new organ that really affects every aspect of our health. We're going to talk today about it a little more. So it really has a huge impact on us. And the most research refers to the microbiome as its microbes, because most of the microbiome is microbes, but it has more in it. So we should just know it has viruses also and fungi, but we're going to talk about today about the microbiome, and researchers talk about the microbiome refer to the microbes in it. So it is a really huge field of research that I've come across and really interested in. I read about it and talk about it and work with it every chance I get.
You are, from what I know, and I'm looking at the side. I'm kind of like your stalker.
Sure.
You are so fascinated by it that people from all over the world are looking to you for explanations and your expertise and information about this emerging field.
Well, I've finished a long, big research that I did with the microbiome in human microbiome. I think one of the strongest aspect of me as a researcher is that it was a research in human, because so much research we're going to talk about today also it was in mice or other animals or in labs situated. And my research was in humans, in my patients in a hospital I work for. So it had a lot, and the consequence and the bottom line of the research was basically that we have to pay attention to the microbiome when we treat people for better health. Because we, and my patients, were treated with the best treatments from all, like 360 degrees treatments with doctors and medicine and clinicians and physiotherapy and psychology, everything. But it was shown that if we didn't treat their microbiome, we can't really help them fully recover. So I was invited to a conference to talk about it. It was very exciting. So I guess this is why what you said about the research and people asking me about it.
Yeah. And I'm also going to take this moment to say congratulations for being recognized. And I think it's really well deserved. And everybody else is we're going to meet also today. And also we're going to meet later on this month or later on in April. And I think people are going to understand why you are here to talk about this. So you've already started to hint at it. Maybe we can talk about how it actually affects our overall health.
Well, as I said, there's so many researchers now going there and checking the microbiome. And by now, research has shown that it affects every aspect of human health. And, when I say every aspect, really means every single one, the organs, like the bowel, of course, but liver, lungs, with the lungs, we have so much research about COVID and the microbiome, amazing research. The brain, that we're going to talk a bit more today,
right.
Baby development and more, and diseases are also significantly affected by the gut microbiome, like IBS, Crohn, colitis, but not only diseases in the gut, also diabetes is now known to really escalate with the state of the microbiome, and overweight and obesity is very connected to the unbalanced gut microbiome. Autoimmune diseases and allergies and heart diseases. And the newest hype now that I've also heard about in the conferences around the microbiome affecting cancer tumor, and is really shown in mice, actually. Like I said, a lot of research, when we just start research a field of science, we start with mice, but it was shown that the microbiome really affects cancer tumors. So I bet we'll hear it more in the future, but it's so interesting how it affects everything.
That's really interesting. Are we talking about like the actual tumor, or?
Yeah, I can say that it was shown that when you have cancer, a tumor, there are some people who, when you have treatment, who respond to the treatment with a good result, and some who don't respond to the tumor with good results. So they took the microbiome with the people who didn't respond to the treatments for the cancer tumor. They put it in a sterile mice, and they showed that they really didn't respond to the treatment. But then they took the microbiome of the people who did respond to the treatments for the tumor, and the mice who got, again, the treatment, really, the tumor was gone, it was smaller. Wow. It helped, and nothing else changed, just the microbiome of those mice. So it's really, it's really amazing and overwhelming just to hear about it and to read about it. because I believe in, and not only me, but it is really the future of our health and medicine. Yeah, it affects so much. Yeah.
And it really, like, I'm so sorry, but the more we talk about it, it's like you said in the beginning, you're like, it's kind of weird that, like, who's the host?
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah.
We have
Ooh.
we have a
right.
lot. Yeah, it's even a little bit philosophy in there about the science.
For sure.
And a lot. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, like, so with that in mind, like, let's get into how it connects to the brain. But what were you gonna say?
Yeah, it's exactly what I wanted to say, that the research is now very much exploring the gut-brain axis, the pathways in which the microbiome affects the actions of the brain. Some even call the microbiome the second brain, because it really affects so many procedures and so much actions and things that happen in our body, even without our knowledge or us knowing it. And a lot of it, of course, has to do with mood and anxiety and depression. And we don't know everything. It is very important to say that we don't know everything, but we're just starting to know more and more. What I feel is, with what I do, I'm a dietitian, so I feel that I know what all I need to know. I know that a better microbiome makes a better health and mood. And we may not even know every little part of the way, but I do know that point A goes to point B, which is health. That's enough for me. So we're going to talk in the end a little bit about what to do, what to eat.
Right. I didn't mean to cut you off. Was there something else you wanted to say?
Just a bit more about the gut-brain axis.
Yep.
So the gut microbiome influences the brain function in many, many ways. It's neural, it's endocrine and immune pathways, and they communicate all the time. The microbiome releases cytokines that signals the brain through the blood-brain barrier. So it's really small molecules that go straight to the brain through the BBB, the blood-brain barrier. Also neurotransmitters and hormones and immune system modulation. It's all things that originate in the gut microbiome and go straight to the brain. So it's a lot. It's so many things at the same time. Gut bacteria regulate the digestion and the metabolism, of course, and they extract and make vitamins and other nutrients from the food we eat. So it also, of course, helps the brain, the healthy brain. Also with the immune system that we've mentioned, and they maintain the gut wall, which is what keeps us healthy and safe from the outside to our inside of the body. Outside invaders get stopped with the microbiome that are like little soldiers of us that didn't let them get in. So when the opposite happens, so when the microbiome isn't healthy and strong, so outside invaders can get in, and then we have a lot of falling down of a lot of things with the immune system and diseases and chronic inflammation, which we know we really should not have and stop. Yeah.
This is very interesting because, I feel like in general, the general population would feel like, things that we've learned in grade school of the immune system is the white blood cells, right? That's what we all think about. And you're saying that there is a whole other level, because if it's the microbiome and we're talking about millions, billions of billions soldiers, billions. So let me just repeat that. Okay. So we're talking about billions of microbes.
Exactly.
And you're saying that they are essential for our immune system.
Actually, we are now saying that 75 or 80% of our whole body's immune system is in our gut. So even talking with numbers, it's overwhelming to understand that so much of our immune system, our microbiome is responsible for.
So yeah, so we're almost, they're more important than the white blood cells. We're going to take it that far to say like your gut microbiome is 75%.
We are now knowing through research that when the microbiome isn't healthy, we are not going to be, there's no way that our whole body will be healthy. So the microbiome is really, really strongly, totally responsible for our health. When the microbiome isn't balanced, when it's not healthy, we have a constant inflammation in our body. And we know for 100% that the constant inflammation in our body causes so many diseases, maybe every disease, with cancer and heart disease and diabetes and everything, actually, we can say. So, and the number one cause and the thing that starts the whole storm of the immune system is the unhealthy microbiome.
And the so then when we take it to like the mental health aspect, right. So we're looking at the BBB, what you said before, the blood-brain barrier. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, but but there's a bit more. Is there something I think it will shock you, I think. Well, okay, so gut bacteria produces hundreds of neurochemicals that the brain uses to regulate basic physiological processes. Okay, so the gut bacteria always signals in a great communication with the brain. But we come to realize the gut bacteria manufactures 95% of the body's supply of serotonin. Serotonin is the feel-good hormone. So, let me say that again, almost 100%, 95% of the hormone that puts us in a good mood is produced by our microbiome. So isn't it obvious, once knowing that an unbalanced microbiome makes us depressed, makes us less happy? And,
that
just
blows my mind.
I know. And just a small fact makes us a huge difference. Knowing the microbiome is what makes our serotonin, right? Right. And, microbiome researchers like myself know this, but it seems that no one else does.
I have to, this brings me, I keep interrupting you, but yeah.
No, sure, yeah.
It's my thing. So I heard a lot about, and I'm not a serotonin expert, but I did hear a little bit about the timing throughout the day where serotonin levels are higher as opposed to dopamine levels, and so as opposed to endorphins, I believe. And so I'm wondering, like, if you could explain that a little bit more.
Well, serotonin, as in our body, can have things that will stop him from getting to the brain or stop him from being activated. Okay. But the one who makes it, who's the first step of serotonin, just to make it, is the microbiome. So definitely other situations in our body can stop it from being activated, sure. But who initially makes it in our body is the microbiome. And it plays a key role in anxiety and depression. And the main class of drugs that used to treat those conditions, which is SSRIs, which is the letters of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which is just increase the serotonin levels in the brain. So we have a medicine that does what our microbiome can do. And it has, changing your microbiome for good through nutrition, has no side effects, and doesn't cost you like a medicine. And, we also see in people with depression and anxiety, we also almost always has gut complaints. It always come together. The gut issues, the problem, the uncomfortable feeling with people with depression and anxiety. And it was shown even in research that a depressed behaviored mice, when they changed their microbiome, their depressed behavior was gone. And, they didn't change anything else, just the microbes in their gut, not their surrounding or like only their microbiome. And I can say about my patients, actually, which of course is not a clinical research, but from what I've seen, in the first weeks that we're doing a process to better their microbiome, they tell me they can't really say what exactly, but they just say they feel good. One of my clients, and I've asked her if I can use it in here, and she said, yeah, of course, says she feels like she have a sun shining from her lower abdominal, which is such an amazing description for that feeling. It's not like you have something aching and then it's gone. It's just you feel better. So
I'm going to just pause for a moment. I'm going to pause this for a moment. And I'm also going to say that for anybody who is under psychiatric care or taking SSRIs or on their way to taking, and they're very interested in actually stopping or adding more nutritional aspects and components to their well-being, it's very, very important to work with the professionals you're working with. So if you are under psychiatric care, you want to really get your psychiatrist involved and not make a single move without the professional feedback and care. In addition to, I think you would probably agree with me that if that's the direction you would want to go in, you would also want to work with your psychiatrist and your dietitian, and they would want to be in sync with each other.
Yeah, of course, we're talking today to people who are healthier than not. And of course, if someone is taking a medicine or in psychiatric care, it does not replace other decisions. But it is a point of view to think about. It is a new era of research. I think it's going to take a few years to make, instead of medication, we're going to use nutrition. It's not there yet with people who need other care, but what we're doing now is we need to be aware that it is here, and
it can enhance the well-being. So even if you like, in general, if you would consider yourself to have high levels of well-being and mental health and physical health, so just knowing everything you're talking about, Ayelet, is also important, because the awareness will drive you to make better decisions in your nutrition, and then your microbiome feels better, and your immune system and everything we just said. But also in general, like on a more serious mental health note, if you're taking medication, then also your nutrition can enhance the effect of the medication.
Yeah, be a side player and add to this. Yeah, exactly. And if we're talking about liberal medicine, so antidepressant, particularly TCAs, which is tricyclic antidepressant, are used by clinicians for treatment for gastrointestinal disorder. So I have clients who come to me after their doctor gave them antidepressant for the gastrointestinal problems, and they were quite offended. Why are you giving me antidepressant? I just told you I'm bloated and I have a gut who aches. But they also say it works. So the connection is so strong between the gut and the mind that they're even treated with the same medicine.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a common use. So we're saying that this is something to think about, to look about, and of course does not replace medical advising, just to realize. So we don't know it all. It's going to take a while to know it all, but the microbiome is so complex. Some say we will never understand everything. But what I feel and my mission is to connect people with, like we said, the 2 dots, dot A, which is a better microbiome, to dot B, which is better mental and physical health. So I'm learning about, all the strains and the research that is published, but I don't want to wait till every aspect and step is already known. I want to raise the awareness, like we're doing right now, of the microbiome health connection. And even when we're looking for all the answers, because to me, the most important conclusion is already out there. A better microbiome means a better overall health. And this is what I do and want to do. Yeah.
That's amazing. You're basically on a mission, and a mission that I find, and I'm sure many people would agree with me, a very important mission. And it's also something that, people are hearing about the microbiome, but it's kind of like, it's like this abstract notion that it's very hard to get your mind around it. So when someone like you comes along and explains it a little bit further, I feel it's really important we can grasp it a little bit more.
It's, it all started really not long ago, so it's really brand new. To me, it started around five years ago when I read about it for the first time. And when I was a student in university, we learned that the colon, we have their reabsorption of water, and feces was created there, and that's it. I wasn't taught about the microbiome. It's really, really brand new. Wow. So we're just starting to get to know. Technology developed, and now research started looking and to see all that. And there is a research really caught my eye about weight gain actually in mice. Like I said, it's a lot of it is in mice, the research. And they tested genetically identical twins, which one was overweight and one was thin. So genetics can explain why one of them is overweight and one is not, and environment can't explain that because they're genetically and raised in the same home. So they took one of the overweight twin and put it in sterile mice, and the other microbiome of the thin brother to another sterile mice. And the one who got the microbiome of the overweight twin got overweight, and they were in the same thing, like they had no difference between them. So that
does it have to do with leptin? Like does the microbiome like block leptin? Does it play with ghrelin? What?
Yeah, it has. Well, it has a lot to do with the hormones of satiety and hunger, of what we feel. But it also, the microbiome also shifts a little bit the movement to fat storage. So when we have a thin person microbiome, we're more likely not to gain weight than if we have someone who's obese or overweight. We're more likely to be overweight too. And this is overwhelming because we found it's a whole new reason for weight gain. We always talked about genetics, and as a dietitian, I also read about it, but now there's a whole new reason for that changes everything. After this, so many articles was written about the microbiome, and soon enough, of course, they talked about the gut-brain connection. And if in the beginning of this science, they said that the microbiome, like theoretically, makes a call to the brain to let them know about digestion or affection. Now we know it's not just a phone call. It's like they're FaceTiming each other all day long. They're always connected, always seeing each other. They're like, yeah. So this is a funny metaphor. Yeah, I like to use. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So you said there's microbiome like everywhere. There's skin microbiome.
Right.
So there's microbiome in our brain.
There's no microbiome in our brain, only where our body meets outside. So, the skin, the mouth, the gut. Okay. But inside, like, not like no. In the brain.
Okay. So basically, I see what you mean. So the microbiome in the gut, that is like that is the gut brain.
This is our second brain. Yes.
Got it. Okay. I'm with you. Wow. So
yeah.
I wanted to ask you, maybe you could share some practical tips, but if you want to say anything else further before we get into the more practical aspect, please go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say that us human, we have revolution with bacteria all the time. And the minute we are born, revolution of us human wanting to survive took care of us, making sure we are filled with the good bacteria to keep us safe. If it's the bacteria through the birth canal these days, and even if C-section today, I always say ask for putting the mucose of the birth canal on the baby, and people are doing it. Doctor knows about it. It's getting more and more common because we know how the bacteria is so important for the baby. So much in breast milk. It was amazing to find that when we opened and looked about breast milk and the proteins and the sugars there, you see so many sugars that is really complex sugar that the baby gut can't unfold, can't digest. And scientists were, how is it possible that women make breast milk with their milk with so many complex components that the baby can't even take? Well, now we know all those sugars are not for the baby, they're for their microbiome. So, and this is probably the reason why people who are breastfed is healthier with their immune system instead of baby who are bottle fed. Even when you put the baby on skin to skin, why is that? It's because of the bacteria. Some people are even saying that the reason children put things in their mouth, it's not things, they know it's not food, but it's like an instinct. Why do they keep putting things in their mouth like dirt and stuff? Well, probably because they want to make a variety of microbes in their microbiome. Yeah, it is a whole new lecture, but yeah, it's true. So we have grown and developed through time with bacteria by our side. We should remember this. When they're interrupting it to the microbiome, with any interruption like sickness or antibiotics or any other medication, we should remember to fix it. And it's really important to say, I'm not saying don't take antibiotics or any other medicine, because it's really life-saving. It's really important to, when the doctor registers a medicine, you should absolutely, if you trust your doctor, of course, take it. But we should remember that there is this thing, the microbiome, that when we interfere with it, we need to fix it later. We need to make it better for our ongoing long years of health.
Right. And I would even go as far as to say, when your doctor prescribes antibiotics, because most likely at one point in your life, you're going to get antibiotics.
Sure.
So maybe bring it up, because I think it's important to empower the patients to bring those things up and talk about it with the doctor. And more doctors are very aware of the importance of replenishing the bacteria.
Exactly. And I can tell you that our future medicine will have microbes in it to make sure it'll be less side effects. It will be absorbed as it should be. So it's in the works now to have a medicine that has the right microbes in it too. So even in the medicine field, it's very, very research and yeah.
Amazing.
So after saying this, I think how do we know the microbiome is so important, and how do we make it better?
Right.
So we now know that a variety of plant foods makes a really strong, healthy microbiome. And I can't even make it as more accurate as it is. Just a variety of plants, food like fruit and vegetables and nuts and legumes and spices. These are the most top 5 for me and for the microbiome. And I have to emphasize that when we do this with my patients, it's not from tomorrow, we're going to eat everything. It's really gradually, and really need to take our time. Just like exercise, you don't expect to work to exercise like 1 week and then go to run a marathon, right? We need to do it with us. We need to feel good about it. We need to do it gradually. So these are the things, but the work is, this is the bottom line, but the work is a process. Everyone has a different taste and work and lifetimes, schedule. So we need to make sure it fits you. It fits every person.
I think what you're saying is also really important because for me personally, as someone who works with a lot of people on an individual level, as well as groups, I see that there are dietitians that have a template and let's just go with the template. And what you're saying is, there's a person in front of me that's trying to make a lifestyle change, and we're going to take it step by step and make sure that that person can stick to it.
Exactly. The point is to stick with it. It's not just the fast lane. It's about learning, and it's about having a good mood and just feel good with yourself. And it's a process to feel. We're talking about what to buy, what to cook, when we have success, when we don't, and how to adjust everything to the person. So, and they asked me, can I give this tips for my friend? I says, you can, but I don't think they will have the same effect on him as on you, because it's for you, it's for your schedule and your preferences. So yeah, and the side of the plants, the plant food, sugar. Okay, sugar really kills is a big word, but it's really not helping our microbiome. So even when we have a probiotic yogurt that has sugar in it, probably there is not any good bacteria left there. The sugar does not let it succeed and flourish. So eating less sugar is probably another great tip that fits maybe most of the people.
That's huge. That's huge. So the sugar is harmful for our microbiome.
Yeah, and it's kind of it depends how much, because if it's a little sugar, it's fine. Our microbiome can absorb it and they can live very happily with it. But if it's a lot, it's ruining their home and they're not good. So even the best example is the probiotic yogurt, that if it has sugar, it's probably not probiotic anymore.
That's really interesting. And so if I were to 80% of the time not eat sugar, but 20% of the time have sugar, is that still a range that's okay?
It is fine, and I'll tell you even more than fine, that it's better than other other sweeteners. It's much better. So people ask me, should I have yogurt or just anything with sugar, or the diet version? And I say, eat the one with the sugar, which is, people said the dietitian said to eat sugar, right? But if I'm looking through the microbiome point of view, so yeah, it's definitely better to have the sugar and not other sweeteners that really make the microbiome worse in a really greater action.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Very interesting.
Another thing that is really bad for our microbiome is processed foods. There are things in the food. There are many things, unfortunately. So I can't talk about everyone, that makes our food crunchier and make our food look better and have a longer shelf life. But those things help them sell and make the products sell more and have a longer shelf life, but it's not good for our microbiome. It's really bad for our microbiome. So anything you cook at home and that you buy with less ingredients in the back, will be much better for the microbiome.
So for example, like if I get, I like peanut butter. If I get peanut butter and all it says is peanuts,
Perfect.
I'm probably good to go.
Good to go.
Right. And then if I see E this and E that and E this and E that,
you will eat it, and then you will hear your microbiome screams.
Or maybe, yeah. And it also plays, it's like what you said, it kind of makes the taste buds say yay.
Yeah.
And then there's an issue because like we want more and it's more harmful. I'm also going to take this moment and I've got to ask you like a dietitian question rather than a microbiome scientist question.
Yeah.
I have researched this on a very superficial level, and I was wondering how I understood that every 2 weeks our taste buds are pretty much new. They're renewed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Did I get that right?
Yeah, it's more like 3 weeks, I think. But in order, the best example is for salt. If someone is really like addicted to salt and love their taste buds, really needs a lot of salt in order to taste food as tasty. It will take 3 weeks to really hold it and really try to lower the dosage, and after that, their taste bud will change. Yeah. And if it'll keep so 3 weeks of low salt can really make the difference. It's more than 3 weeks, but also this with sugar. With
so basically it's very, very empowering to know this. It's like just 3 weeks. And I'm not saying that 3 weeks is easy, right? 3 weeks is not easy. 3 days is not easy.
Yeah.
And just kind of taking it like one meal at a time.
Yeah.
Right.
That's great. Yeah. You know what I also say with what we said about the processed food is, you know, I have little children, of course, they're eating processed food, some like snacks and like popsicles and stuff, but I always say there's one word to think about, which is dosage. Like how much of their day are they eating processed food? If it's most of the day, you need to change it. But, you know, sometimes, you know, you go to the supermarket and my kids want, you know, ice cream or something like that. And it's not the best. It has so many ingredients in the back, you know, even when it melts, it stays in the same constructor. It's actually so crazy, but you know, you can try. It's really crazy. But I say, you know, it's once in 2 weeks. And I said, fine, you know, I don't want them to feel that they don't. We have snack drawer in their kitchen and but you know, they don't walk around with a bag of chips. I open one and each get in their plate, just a little bit and some fruit on the side. So they taste it, they have it, but it's not a big deal. It just says, what is the dosage? How much of their day are they eating, and how much of the week are they eating all those processed foods? Because when you go to the other extreme and not give children or yourself nothing of it, like no sweet and no thing, these will be the children you will see in birthday parties that doesn't do the activity, only at the table, eating all the snacks and the gummy bears, and because they're so excited for it. Because exactly. So it really is important to have this balance and always to think about the dosage. How much are we either getting? Is it the whole day? Is it once a day? Is it big one? Is it birthday? Or is it if the main menu is healthy and good and unprocessed, then it's okay to have sugar and processed in a little dosage.
So important, and also so important for parents. I was going to say mommies, but it's not only mommies. It's
not only today.
Also daddies. It's also daddies. But I just when I look around me and I see, you know, at least in my community, it's definitely the mommies who are mostly concerned about this particular subject. And when we hear someone who has authority like you saying like, you know, it's okay. You don't have to put your foot on the brakes on such a, extreme level. It's actually quite calming.
Right. It's not the right thing to do. It will actually be worse. If there's zero unhealthy foods, zero will make it 100 tomorrow or another year, or when they're teenagers. So yeah, we need to have it and have this as our dessert, and it's not super healthy, but it's fine. You can enjoy it. It's always on the positive side.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Beautiful. Regarding practical tips, was there anything else you wanted to add into? So we've got the vegetables, we've got the legumes, we've got the fruit, anything that is plant-based, really.
Yeah, plant-based.
And as little processed as possible, as little sugar as possible, certainly not sugar replacements.
Right. This is the worst.
Right.
Even worse.
And is there anything else in terms of the practical practice?
Yeah, it's a whole healthy balance. Like, you need to exercise just a bit. You don't need, for a better microbiome, you actually don't need the hardest sweating exercise. You probably it's benefit more like the easy, nice exercise. You need to sleep enough. When we sleep, the microbiome works a lot to make sure everything is okay with our gut lining and everything. So it's really important to sleep. Drinking water. So it's actually really a whole, when I have my clients, we talk about the whole aspects of health, and it's almost, not surprising. I mean, plant-based food and sleep and water and everything. But we are like from nature. We are a kind of an animal, if you may. So
Absolutely.
it's obvious that we would need plant-based foods and not food that are in from the industry and from factories. We need food from earth, from the ground. So Mediterranean diet is what's most important and what's best for the microbiome. If we're talking about a whole diet, it's the
Mediterranean diet is like the olive oil, but we're also talking about fish. Am I correct?
Yeah, we're talking about fish, but fish is not in the main source of eating in calories is so many legumes and nuts and whole wheat and fruits and vegetables and those type of people. We can have, of course, fish and fatty fish, but it's on the topper and the smaller amount. I would recommend two a week.
2 servings of fish a week.
Yeah, 2 to 3, because we now know that our ocean's state is really, really bad. There is a joke, like a comic joke, that you see someone buying a fish and says, "Hey, can I have a plastic bag for it?" And the store lady says, "Oh, it's already inside."
Yeah, right. The second you started, I knew where it was going. Oh my God. Yeah. And it's well, I'm personally vegan. So, but that's one of the things that actually, it bugs me, because it's like, I want to have less pollution in my body, and beside the ideological issues, but just in terms of sizing. So if I were to have 3 servings a week, would that mean like the palm of my hand?
Yeah, the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
And it's not just like a joke or just like an assumption. It is really is now from the recommendation for like children and pregnant women is not to eat more, not like everyday tuna, or because of the ocean's pollution. So it's not just me being cautious. It's really a recommendation not to have so much fish.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In terms of probiotics.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So
is there like a specific pill or powder? And I have to say, this is something that I've been dying to ask you. Like, I really want to know, because I don't even know where to turn, like right or left. And you can read so much information and it's just like a little overwhelming, and supplement companies kind of want to push. So then I want to come to someone like you and say, all right, let's talk probiotics.
So probiotics is not a magic pill. It will not help us all heal. Even if some research found that a specific strain really helped people with Crohn's disease, even if it's within people, not just mice, but even people with Crohn's disease, was shown that a specific strain or family of bacteria was gone, it does not mean that you or I should take that strain so aggressively as a probiotics. And the research for the probiotics is mainly for people who are very ill with maybe gastro illnesses like IBS. There is going to be a progress with your microbiome because your microbiome is so ruined. So maybe to people who are already ill with gastrointestinal diseases, maybe their probiotics will make a good difference. But who said that my original microbiome needs a strain that was missing to other people? We're not sure of that. We don't know. The research we also have about the probiotics is not long enough to see if there is side effects. What happens after a month or 3 months? Does it go back? Does it stay? There are research who search of long-term and see that the strain doesn't even stay, because our microbiome is most affected from health and nutrition. So we can take probiotics, it will maybe be there for I don't know how long. I don't know what happens later, because if we don't eat the right foods to make it thrive, maybe even the good bacteria won't survive for us. So it's really, the answer is health, activities, and nutrition still there. And people always want the shortcut and the pill, just I'm just going to take the pill and I'm be fine. But there, we both, health professionals know that there is no shortcut in magic pill. It's a process, and you need to be in there to want that and do small steps. And it's the same thing with the probiotics.
Yeah,
nutrition.
It's like I always say to my my bodyholic tribe and people who train with me, I'm always like, guys, we are always under construction. Like, once we've reached the 6-pack, if you stop,
it's going to go back
eating a certain way, and you stop drinking all your water and you stop working out, we are always under construction. We are so organic. And even now, with the consideration of the microbiome, like it enhances that aspect. Like, we are so organic. We are always moving and evolving, and it's a constant effort.
Exactly. And when you say we're constant on construction, it reminds me of a metaphor that when I take to my patients, when I talk to them about sleep, and they say, wait, what's with sleep with the microbiome? And I say, you can't fix a road when cars are constantly driving in it. Beautiful. So this is exactly what the microbiome does. That we have the gut lining, it needs to be constructed and fixed and closed and worked on. And if we're constantly eating and we're not sleeping enough, we're not making it rest, we don't have enough rest, it's not going to be able to do that, because it will be digesting all the time.
Yeah, that is such a good metaphor. That is such a spot on solid metaphor. Wow.
Is exactly what it does. Yeah.
And so the Mediterranean diet, I guess, is the overall, and the base of the pyramid is what we should be aiming for. Are there recipes that you would recommend, or even like point us to a site or anything like that?
I'm working on some recipes. When people ask me even about the probiotics, they ask me, okay, so what should I take? I tell them not this. I say, okay, so what should I take? And I say, listen, you should take a big pot and put legumes in it and some spices and some vegetables and make a big pot of these, like, and you can, it's so delicious, really, and you can make so much things in it. You have, even people who love meat, you can add meat in it, but the thing is, you eat those things. So again, I'm not saying eat those instead of meat or chicken, but don't skip them because you eat meat or chicken.
Right.
So any recipe who has a variety of fruits and vegetable salads with nuts in them, all the whole wheat bread or whole other flours, breads, all the just the things you put in a big pot and boil with so much herbs and flavors. They really are the best. There are so many traditional recipes from all over the world that you'll see they use all the variety of the foods because this is what they had once.
Right.
So
before we started processing everything.
Exactly. So I always say, like, look back a little bit, like one or two generations.
What did your great grandma make? Yeah,
exactly. It really is.
Yeah. It's not, we're not talking about the Stone Age. We're talking about like just a moment.
Exactly. The industry revolution, we started, everything we wanted to be fast and crunchy and salty and looking good and smelling good. And the color should be really good just before that.
Right. Yeah. And okay, so what you threw something out there that was really interesting. You're working on what? A website, a book? What's going on over there?
I'm working on just recipes. It'll be, of course, open for everyone who would want to watch. I'm working on articles with some health issues with microbiome, because I really feel that it is my mission to say, I don't want to wait to everything to be known. I want people know if you have a better microbiome, you're gonna have a better health. So, and that's all I need to know as a dietitian. So I'm working on, I don't know if it'll be a website or like in a pamphlet. I don't really know exactly, but I'm working on it, and I will send it to whoever wants to.
That's amazing. You really are on a mission, and you're like serving. And I really thank you for that.
Thank you.
And there's so much that you've said today that resonates with me on such deep levels. Also that sense of mission and purpose, and also the way you're looking at, like, just a moment ago, we didn't even have all these processed foods. Like it's not, you can look at your grandmother's recipe book and see what we're talking about. It's right there.
Okay.
And things like what you said about the sugar versus the like aspartame and things like that. This is stuff that I talk about very often, especially with family members of mine. And when you say that, it's like, I get to post this and say, you've got to listen to her. Like, please come over here and just, I've got exactly the person for you. So I want to thank you so much for coming over and talking to me about this today, and providing my listeners and hopefully also yours. Hopefully they'll listen as well. With all this, I would say this is essential information, and you're also doing it before we know everything, and who knows when that's going to happen. So it's really important, and I feel like this was such a treat. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I'm looking forward to next time.
Yeah, sure. Me too. Sure. Okay.